What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Dime. Today, we go through NBA Twitter to show some love to teams we haven't really talked about this year. And we also give you our instant reaction to the Rockets-Grizzlies. But first, if you want to follow The Dime, you can on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He is Quab at Quab, a.k.a. Yes. Guys, listen, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe.
Yeah.
Please subscribe.
We're
We're almost at 1,000.
Almost.
What?
What?
What? We're almost there. We're almost there. Today we're doing a full episode. We're going to take a stroll down NBA Twitter first, Quab. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
All right, this is NBA Twitter where Quab and I take tweets that we see on our timeline. We present them to you, and we tell you whether or not we're going to like them, retweet them, or quote tweet, or just reply to them. And we have a theme. The theme today is basically teams we haven't talked about. Teams we need to show some love. Teams that have been playing better as of late, and we want to shine a light on them. Quab, you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, let's see this. Tweet number 1 comes from Keith Smith at Keith Smith NBA, and he says, Doug Christie seems to have the Kings energized. One thing he's definitely gotten right, giving Keon Ellis a bigger role. Ellis is the team's best defender and should have been a big part of the rotation all season long. Quab, I said this. You said this. We talked about the Kings one time. Well, actually, a couple times. But the last time we talked about the Kings, I said this. If your team struggles with perimeter defense, why aren't you playing your best perimeter defender? It makes absolutely no sense. Now, I don't think they should have fired Mike Brown. I wouldn't go that far. But it was always mind-boggling why Keon Ellis wasn't in the rotation. And, you know, we do have an NBA podcast. And it's not like you and I are watching Sacramento Kings basketball every day, right? So there are Kings fans out there who might feel differently or can educate us on why he wasn't playing. But to me, in my head, when I think the Kings, I think, all right, you need a center, you need some size and rim protection. And also, if you don't have that, you at least need players who can guard the perimeter. I think losing Davion Mitchell was huge because he was their best defender. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. You know, you kind of got Keon out there, and the numbers prove it. I'm going to read you some stats here. These are 3 lineups with Keon Ellis since Mike Brown got fired. De'Aaron Fox, Keon Ellis, Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis. That's basically the starting 5 with Ellis in there. 35 minutes, a plus 26.2 net rating. Next lineup, Keon Ellis, Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, Trey Lyles, and Domantas Sabonis. 20 minutes, a plus 29.8 net rating. And another lineup, Keon Ellis, Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis, 14 minutes, a plus 28.6 net rating. Keon Ellis, man. Keon Ellis.
Keon Ellis. I mean, if I saw that tweet, I would have co-tweeted it and be like, Josh was right. I mean, we made the point. I think before when we were talking about Sacramento, we had seen the tweet and a couple of people were talking about the DeRozan fit, if that wasn't the right fit. But
right.
We were both at the point like, hey, maybe just there's some other tweaks and maybe give it a little bit of time. In that previous video, I was like, hey, do you think they make a coaching move? Because a lot of times if it's not the players, it becomes the coaches. And we're like, nah, it's not.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? It's like coach of the year, Mike Brown. Like, why would you?
Yeah.
And then it was like the next day, Mike Brown has been fired. I was like, okay. Now.
And I was like, yo, post that video on Twitter. Post it, go.
Go.
And
it's the NBA. It happens that quickly. News and stuff happens that quickly. It happens. But having Doug Christie as the new coach, and he's been able to make a couple of tweaks that we said, hey, maybe they need to make some tweaks. And the main tweak being, hey, play Keon Ellis some more. And it's helped them. They've been on a win streak. I keep seeing the word that a lot of people are using right now, like I guess in Sacramento is like that. It looks like the team is playing more free, and under Doug Christie, like they're playing more free. They're playing, and that always comes with a coaching change. Yeah. There's the change always happens, and then it might be the schedule. It might be like players feel like, hey, maybe we need to tighten up. Like we can't be making the same mistakes we were making, but. They're talking about, hey, the team feels like they're playing more free. Keon Ellis even himself said that he's allowed to play through his mistakes under Doug Christie, which has helped him greatly. So,
right.
So, hey, I mean, that's, like I said, Keon Ellis, man. And maybe that's been the big change they needed so far.
Now, I'm not doing this to disparage the Kings.
Okay.
But they have won 5 in a row.
Talk about it.
Wins include Dallas with no Luka, no Kyrie, Philadelphia with no Joel Embiid, Memphis with no Ja Morant. They did beat a relatively healthy Warrior squad, so shout out to them. And then a Miami team that basically was missing Jimmy Butler and basically not all there in the head, just on a downward spiral.
So you're saying you're not you feel like the win streak is a little bit
Fugazi. A
fugazi.
little bit.
Look,
Here's the thing. I like the Kings. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're so much fun to watch. Like if a Kings game is on, especially because it's a late game, it's like there aren't many other games that are on. I'll watch a Kings game. I'll watch the Kings over the Lakers. I'll watch the Kings over any team aside from the Warriors, just because with Steph you can get like Steph Heater is the most fun thing that you can ever watch.
Yeah.
But the Sacramento Kings are high there on my NBA League Pass because they're fun to watch. De'Aaron Fox is fun. I love Sabonis' game. I think their problem is a roster issue. I don't think that is a coaching issue. Now, they got the benefit of like injury luck with people that have played. Also, they've played better. I just think it's a roster issue. Like we talked last time, like we were kidding around, but I was serious. They need someone like Cam Johnson. They need another perimeter defender who can knock down the three. They need more perimeter defenders because if you're not going to get the size, if you're going to have Sabonis at the 5, you're going to lack rim protection. You're going to lack a presence inside. So which that means you have to be able to guard the perimeter. You have to. And they can't seem to do both. Now, Keon gives you that ability a little better. They're not completely inept on the perimeter. It's not like they have a bunch of bad defenders. They don't. But you need to be able to lock it down. So, for me, if they are going to go on a serious run, they need to make a move. Or if they think they can go on a run, they have to make a move that addresses perimeter defense. What do you think, man? Do you think they're buyers or sellers at the trade deadline?
I feel like they want to make a move. It seems like a lot of rumors have been coming out, like they want to make a trade. So it might be Cam Johnson. Everybody wants Cam Johnson.
And also like De'Aaron Fox. I don't think De'Aaron Fox wants to be in Sacramento. I don't know about now. Maybe things have changed since Doug Christie took over, but I was getting the vibes from him where he's just like, I'm out, I'm done.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm still kind of shaky about. I'm shocked that became an option. Hopefully, I would like to see Fox like have his whole career in Sacramento, but again,
I would love that, and then like have Sacramento be really good for a few years.
Yeah,
awesome.
And just they can progress and hopefully start winning more in the playoffs now. I mean, but it's like we say, NBA is a business. It happens. Look, man, winning is hard in the NBA. You can lose any night. So like regardless of who they're faced, like they'll take the wins because it feels like maybe before the coaching change, those are games they would have lost, and
maybe,
yeah, there's a possibility just because they're inconsistent play they had before. But I don't know what, like you said, besides Cam Johnson, I don't know what other move they can make.
There really isn't many. There aren't many players that I think would fit Sacramento right now.
It's only Cam Johnson's the only player.
Cam Johnson you can put on any. Cam Johnson and everybody. Sweepstakes. The Cam Johnson sweepstakes. I mean, I'm sure there are some like perimeter defenders out there that will come available. I just can't think of it right now. But they need a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, glad to see that they're winning now. I mean, it's a positive. Like so I think I saw somebody say it's good to see that the beam button still works. So,
I have a beam.
Yeah, they can still like the beam. So I mean, it's cool. Props to them. So hopefully they can keep winning. Like we said, winning is hard in the NBA. So
yeah, I
don't know what it will look like for them in a playoff scenario with this team of how, like you said, they still look like they have some limitations. I don't know how it will look like with them, but again, props. Winning is winning, man. You take it.
All right, let's move on to tweet number 2. It comes from Sean Murphy at Sean Halfcourt. And Sean says the Pistons are the best story in basketball, one of the best in sports, and almost no one nationally is talking about it. They were 3-33 this time last season. Now they're above 500 with a rising star in Cade Cunningham. I'm going to quote tweet this and say, nice story, best in the nation? Not really sure about that. Relax. I like the Pistons, man. They lost to the Warriors today. We're filming after that game. I like the Pistons. They're a nice story. but they're not like a team where it's like they're gonna do anything this year, right? Like it's cute. It's like, oh, they're exceeding expectations. They got a lot of cap room. They don't have a roster that really can compete in the playoffs. It's just a nice story. Like to say it's like one of the best stories nationally is that's a stretch. It's a stretch.
Nah, man, that's one of the best stories nationally.
No, not the best story now. And I'm not saying this as a Pistons hater. It's cool, man. I think the NBA is better with the Pistons. Like when I think the Pistons, I think the bad boy, like Isaiah Thomas Pistons. You know the red, white, and blue jerseys, like the retro jerseys. By the way, their alternates they're wearing today look. What? What is that? Like I'm sure that like there's some history behind like the colors and but what the hell? Like the red and black, like.
Don't you hating, bro? You hate right
I
now.
am. Yeah. I am not a get off my lawn type guy, but like I am when it comes to like this type of stuff. Like you should be wearing white at home. The road team should be wearing their colors. No alternate jerseys. Keep the court the same. Keep your brand.
Oh God, you sound like such an old man.
I do.
But no, look. No, go ahead.
No, just to finish my point, so Piston fans don't think I'm hating. I love it. I think the Pistons should be great. I think it's great for basketball. Y'all need to start filling up that stadium because it's always dead when I watch a Pistons game. Cade Cunningham is one of my favorite young players in the league. I think they figured out if you just surround him with like good rebounding and 3-point shooting, I love Malik Beasley. He's having like a great year that no one's like really talking about. You can see what can happen. Jaden Ivey got hurt. It kind of sucks because he was playing pretty well. He had that game-winning 4-point play against Sacramento. But yeah, it's a nice story, man. And for me, I think the NBA is so much better with the Pistons. It just is. Like, I'm looking forward to the Pistons getting better and better each year to the point where they're maybe Eastern Conference contenders, like maybe like where the Magic are now, right? It'd be cool to see the Pistons as a 3 or 4 seed with their identity and the whole Detroit basketball coming back into play. I miss those days. I like Detroit basketball.
I think I'm agree. It's the story. I'll go with it. It's the story there. You're looking at me like, no,
it's not
crazy.
the story.
Look, I'll say this. To have like I guess the quick, I won't say quick, but for what they are now compared to last year, it's a great story because not for nothing, it wasn't like they were trying to lose last year. Like they were still playing hard when they were still trying to win games when they went on that crazy losing streak.
True.
And there's a lot of people to blame. One being Troy Weaver, the GM, who's no longer there. So getting in Trajan Langdon, who surrounded Cade, and when Jaden Ivey was there, Jaden Ivey with shooters. So now your best perimeter players are not playing the phone booth. You see the difference. People are like, "Oh, Cade looks like a star now." Cade has always been a star in my eyes. There's a reason why he was the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
But it's hard to play efficiently and effectively if you're surrounded by non-shooters in this NBA. Like they're just gonna load up on you, and you see the change now, and he's putting up these numbers, and they were on a little bit of a win streak before they lost to Golden State tonight. But they've been playing solid, like you said. Additions like Malik Beasley, that's a shooter you have to respect. Tim Hardaway Jr., another shooter you have to respect. Add in Tobias Harris. Sorry, Sixers fans. He's as a defender, you're gonna have to worry about him on the perimeter. This opens up the floor for your other players. Opens up the floor if you want to even play with your you want to throw the ball down to your bigs. Like they're not gonna be just surrounded. There's more space for them to be more effective. So, I mean, props to the Pistons. I mean, we haven't had a chance to talk about them because last year it was just such a struggle.
Yeah.
And like you said, they were 3-33.
3-30.
That's crazy. 3-33 is crazy.
And I think they started off like 2-1 too. So like, you lost a lot of games in a row.
And then it just went down. Like that's crazy. So to be where they're at now, even though it's like 500 basketball, that's great. That's great. You have a young team that look like they have a bright future. Hopefully, Jaden Ivey gets right and comes back, and just they keep going along and just they keep building. That it is definitely the best story, national story. Yeah, I agree. I'll like that, retweet that, all that. Yeah,
Really? You're doing all that? God damn.
all that. Sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm all that.
All right. All right, so on to the final tweet. It comes from OwlXander at Alex_Tabber. And he says, Haliburton hater's been very, very quiet. He had a question marks there, so I kind of had the inflection has to be quiet. Yeah. So here's my story with the Pacers. I didn't realize how well they were playing until I went to the Heat Pacer game, and I put money on the Heat.
Good job there, buddy.
Bad idea.
Yeah, bad idea.
I was like, Jimmy's gonna come back. He's gonna make a statement at home. The Pacers don't play defense, and they played defense that day, bro. I was really impressed with the Pacers. I mean, a lot of the attention went to Jimmy Butler and his comments with the organization after that game. But the story of that game, just like if you zero it in on what actually happened, was the Pacers defensively looked like the Pacers against the Knicks in the semifinals the year before. All this talk about the Pacers last year was like, oh, they don't play defense, they can't guard, blah 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 blah. But when they played the Knicks, I'm not saying they were the best defensive team in the world, but they played pretty solid defense. No. And when they played Miami, the game I went to, they were picking up at a half court. They were fighting over screens. They were bothering on the perimeter. They had active hands. And Tyrese Haliburton just was the Tyrese Haliburton that everybody fell in love with last year. And he was unbelievable in that Miami game. And he's been great since the calendar turned 2025. It's the Tyrese Haliburton that everybody fell in love with. It's the Tyrese Haliburton that provided the hype behind the Indiana Pacers. And with the East being what it is, you have the Cavaliers, who are the best team in the East, in my opinion, and then the Celtics, who aren't too far behind. After that, man, I'm a Knicks fan, but I got to be honest with you, I don't believe in this Knicks team. They haven't really showed that they can be consistent, in any way, shape, or form. Even in the victories, it's like, yeah, we won, but we struggled against the Wizards. Yeah, we won, but, the Raptors, gave us a fight. There's never, even in the games where they win, they just don't seem to, have that. They just don't feel like contenders to me. It's not something tangible that I can describe. The Bucks are the Bucks. They're inconsistent. Why not the Pacers again? Why not, man? If they can play defense at this level and Tyrese Haliburton can still be Tyrese, they're getting healthy. They were injured, so you understand that as well. I think the Pacers have a shot here to surprise people once again. And I'm not betting on it, but I do think they have a shot here to surprise people once again. So this tweet, Haliburton hater's been very, very quiet. I'm just gonna like it, and I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to bring any attention to it. I'm just gonna like it because he's right. And they have been quiet, and that's it. Let's leave it alone. I disagree.
You're just gonna like it and then just fade to black. That's all you're gonna like it.
Like Homer Simpson in those bushes. I'm gonna keep my Nick hat on though. I'm not changing my Nick hat to a Pacer hat. I'm just fading to the bushes, and I'm just pretending that they're not hot right now. I don't want to think about it. PTSD.
It's a PTSD. I made to the original tweet. I think the Pacers are in the last 13 games here 10-3.
Yep.
See if I can find the stats. Haliburton in the last 13 games has averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists. 1.4 turnovers. He's looked better. I think he's been struggling since the hamstring injury, and he hasn't quite looked the same when he went on that insane run before. But he's been playing so much better. As a team overall, like you said, they haven't really been healthy. They lost their backup big man, Isaiah Jackson, and then they replaced him with when they made a trade for Thomas Bryant, which he's been playing really well for them too.
Yeah.
When you're talking about their perimeter defense, one of their best defenders has been out for a while, Aaron Nesmith.
Yeah.
He hasn't played, I think, because of an ankle injury. So he should be due back soon. So that should help them also. Like I said, it's a possibility. It's the East. It's a possibility. Anything can happen.
I hate it.
The right matchup.
I hate it.
You hate it. They get the right matchup. And the way they play, the way they push the ball, they're one of the teams. When we talked about early on in the season, we're like, man, the Celtics look unstoppable. One of the first teams they lost to was the Pacers.
Yeah.
and because the way the Pacers push the tempo. Now, I don't know how it will look because like we in our rankings we have the Cavs as the best team in the East, as the best team in the league right now. I don't know how it will look with like if they were to match up with the Pacers, but like anything is possible.
2 games coming up against the Cavs.
Hey, anything.
Nice
anything is
litmus
possible.
test. You take one.
Yeah.
Gotta take one, and I'll take you seriously.
You just need one. Just need
Yeah,
one.
I mean, you can't. You're
Yeah,
not gonna
just need
sweep
one,
the
yep.
Cavs unless you're the Atlanta Hawks
Yeah.
somehow for some reason.
Somehow, hey, go Hawks.
Yeah, but if you can get the one at home, and like, okay, you defended
No.
home court against the best team in the league. Respect.
Yeah, it makes a difference. So hey, I mean,
So what are you doing
again,
with the tweet?
I'm liking it. I think same as you. I'm just liking it. Be like, cool. I see you. Like he's playing well. The Pacers are playing well.
Yeah.
And they've upped the defense, which to me is always like their Achilles heel. Like
Yeah.
offensively, they should be fine. It's always like, are they going to be able to stop anybody? And if they can keep getting that right, anything is possible in the East.
The Houston Rockets beat the Memphis Grizzlies 119-115 in a chaotic ending. A very interesting game. Let's go over it, Quad. Before we do that, though, the box score is Sengun with 32 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. Jalen Green with a nice night from the field, which typically means the Houston Rockets are going to win the game. 4 3-pointers for 27 points. Van Vliet played well. Morant with 27 points. Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane chipped in with 21 and 16 apiece. Quab, I'll just be completely honest with you. I felt like the Houston Rockets beat the crap out of the Grizzlies this game. It felt if you would have just erased the scoreboard, right? And I just was not paying attention to the score, and there was no score on the TV screen, and you had me guess how much the Rockets won by. I would have guessed by 15, 20. At least it felt that way. I think the only saving grace and the only thing that maybe would have changed my mind about that was the fact that the Rockets just couldn't hit a free throw. They were 24 for 41 from the line. They got to the line 41 times, but shot 58%. So I guess when you look at it that way, you kind of understand how the Grizzlies were able to stay in it. But I thought the Rockets just dominated this game, particularly Sengun from the beginning. I mean, Zach Edey couldn't guard him from the jump, from the whistle. And they just had a horrible experience trying to guard this guy all night. He could have had a 40 burger if he just hit his free throws.
Yes.
Just total domination. And I thought Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green, with these guys and with the Rockets in general, they're such a bad shooting team that when you do shoot, even today, they didn't shoot great. They shot, I'm looking at it now, 13 of 34 from three-point range for 38%, which is, I guess, slightly above average. But Jalen Green was 4 from 8, and Fred VanVleet was 3 for 7. I thought they were also timely three-pointers. When they're hitting their threes at that sort of clip, and by that sort of clip, I mean pretty good, the Rockets are a really good basketball team, man. And I thought, the reason why this game was so close is because, they just aren't polished in the sense where they can just finish off teams like a good veteran team can. They're still learning how to win properly, if you can say that. But this was a game where the Rockets, to me, just looked like flat out the better team. Now, to give grace to the Grizzlies, Ja comes back today. They've had injuries. People have been in and out of the lineups. You really haven't had a set rotation. But the Grizzlies were really sloppy today. It was the first Grizzlies game I watched in a while because of the fact that there's been so many injuries. But very sloppy with the ball. And credit to Houston for having active hands every time the Grizzlies would drive. But very, very sloppy with the ball. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I just the fact they lost by 4, it's going to take moral victories. Take that one because I don't think they should have come close to winning this game. You had the first half where the Grizzlies had 2 heaves, one from Aldama and one from Luke Kennard that went in to keep the game close at half.
Yeah.
But overall, man, I just thought the Rockets completely dominated this game.
I mean, it probably felt that way because of how the first quarter started, and the Rockets I think they scored 45 points in the first quarter. And it was just like, okay, yeah, it feels like they're going to run away with the game. The word you use, chaotic, we should have known it was going to be a chaotic game when Dylan Brooks got that technical to start the game. Just hanging on the rim. I was just like, when I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm tuned in.
I know what time it is.
I like this. I like this vibe. But the Rockets, especially, I'll say this, that first quarter, the way they were running, I think I was taking notes while I was watching. I think the thing I put in my notes, I was like, the tempo. it was on. It wasn't just turnovers. It was just when it would get stops or even makes. They would just push the ball, and they were getting layups. It wasn't, and once in a while they would end up kicking out for, like you said, a couple of threes here and there. But they were getting to the rim. And we always say when Jalen Green plays well, it feels like the Rockets play well, and he was very decisive the whole game. Like getting to his spots, getting shots, get like straight drives to the rim. A lot of what's the term we always say? North and south drive. He wasn't
Right.
not too much.
Getting downhill.
Yeah, getting downhill. Not a lot of east and west and playing around. It was just like he was getting downhill, getting to the buckets. The free throws, a lot of missed free throws for the Rockets. Like you said, that was a lot. But Sengun had 32 points, and obviously, like, honestly, you say he could have had 40. He could have probably had 50. Like,
Yeah. I'm not exaggerating.
yeah, he could have had 50. Like he had in the first half he looked so dominant, but like even then and throughout the course of the game, there were a couple of times where he was indecisive going up, and that kind of led to turnovers or missed shots. And when he would just like be focused and go to score, like he was unstoppable. Nobody was stopping him the whole game. Like we always talk about he's been one of the best big man in the league, and he looked like it tonight. On the Rockets, on the Memphis side, John Moran coming back. I think this is his first game back from injury, so he's probably on minutes restriction, and he still put up 27 points. He had a couple of moments where he still looks explosive as all heck, like he's still Ja. But Jaren Jackson Jr. to me was why the game stayed close. I felt like, especially in the second quarter and even the third quarter, he was just not just his scoring, his defense. Just he's playing an all-star level. I think he had I want to say 6 blocks, but when he stays out of foul trouble and he stays on the court, Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the best players in the league. But to me, it's always the problem. Like he just has to stay out of foul trouble, and I think he did a decent job. He did a great job this game. He only had 2 fouls, but the score doesn't really, like we say, doesn't indicate how we felt about the whole game, because it just felt like
it felt like the Rockets kicked the crap out of them. I'm not gonna lie.
it felt like the Rockets just beat them, but Memphis just didn't. They just kept in the game. I'll say the one thing about the Grizzlies, because of all the injuries they have had, they've become such a deep team with all these players that necessarily we didn't expect them to have an impact to start off the season. We did a Grizzlies preview, and a couple of these players we didn't even mention. We didn't even ask about.
I don't think we mentioned Laravia.
We didn't mention Laravia, Jay Huff,
Jalen Wells,
Scottie Pippen Jr. Like these,
right.
And these are players that have started for them throughout the course of the season, and they even made an impact this game. Like I think they were a factor in helping them kind of stay the course when it looked like the Rockets were running away with it in the first half. But I mean, great game by the Rockets. But like we've been saying, they're such an inconsistent team. Like, and not just game by game. During the course of the game,
they could have easily. If the Grizzlies got their ish together at the end, there was a point. This was my favorite part of the game. I don't know if anyone noticed this, but the PA system in Memphis was playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out music. I don't know if anyone grew up playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but they played it for like 3 straight possessions, and during those possessions, it was like Luke Kennard from 3 hit the side of the backboard. The Rockets got a rebound, ran down the court, turned the ball over. Ja got the ball, came down, ill-advised shot, and the whole time you just hear Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And it's like the worst basketball you could possibly imagine is going on the court. It was. I was crying. I wonder if anybody else noticed it. And that was in the fourth quarter too. That was like 2 minutes left to go in the game with the Grizzlies down 3. The PA speakers going.
Was it like
Kennard hits the side of the backboard? Everyone just starts turning the ball over. It felt like chaos. But yeah, I mean, if the Grizzlies like calmed down and got good offensive sets, I mean, the Rockets gave them plenty of opportunities there.
A lot.
Yeah, they missed
a lot of
threes,
turnovers.
they turned the ball over. The turnovers. I didn't even mention that. I forgot how to mention that.
Yeah.
20 turnovers for the Grizzlies. Well,
a lot of turnovers.
It was at 20.
Yeah.
But that's insane. That's and like you said before, it wasn't even off turnovers. It was off misses. You know, the Rockets were getting in transition. We're getting easy buckets. And to me, if I'm a Rocket fan, that's what I want to see, because we talk about how poor of a shooting team They are, right? Now, they're in the bottom half of the league as far as three-point shooting is concerned, and that's important because now everybody shoots threes. How else are you going to create offense? How else are you going to create easy buckets? You're going to have to run. This team is going to have to run.
Yeah.
And they have the athletes to do it. You know, you have Jalen Green. You have, I know Easton was hurt. He wasn't available. Thompson is an athlete. So you have the players to do so. They just have to do it every game. They have to make a conscious effort to run the basketball because the Grizzlies, too, they're a good defensive team. It's not the Grizzlies are a bad defensive team. And to me, I just felt like the Grizzlies didn't play great defense today, and a lot of it had to do with the Rockets just keeping them on their toes. Fred VanVleet making good decisions and hitting the three ball. It was just overall very impressive from the Rockets, but at the same time, it's like I see why I don't take them seriously, and maybe a lot of other people don't take them seriously as contenders because even though they're the 2 seed, it's like, man, like I don't trust y'all the way you finish games out. It just doesn't look like you are a serious team that can win more than one round in the playoffs. That's what it feels like to me, at least.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll say this to your point about how they have to generate offense in terms of pushing the ball. Amen Thompson, just ridiculous, especially that
Love
first,
him.
just ridiculous. We
Love him.
We always sing his praises. I don't know. He got into foul trouble. I think that might have factored into how like it kind of slowed them down, but. Especially, I'll say the first quarter, that first half, the way they would just, especially him, get the ball and get down the court, pass aheads. I mean, it's a great way to generate offense for them. But it's just that fourth quarter, like you said, that stretch in that fourth quarter, it was so many turnovers, and especially even on the Rockets side, where I was like, why would you make that pass? Why would you try to?
All quarter. That was what's going on, bro. What's happening?
The whole time, like or even like Sengun at times, like he would be in the post and there'll be a double team and he would just hold it and nobody would like cut. Everybody just standing around, and then he got called for a travel on one of the possessions. I'm like, you guys are letting them back in the game. This game feels like it should have been over already. So, I mean that. They were able to pull it out, but like you said, these things happening, it kind of leads to everybody having question marks about them, like come playoff time and like.
Which is fine. I mean, listen, they're overachieving, quote unquote. They're the 2 seed right in the West. Nobody had them as the 2.
Yeah.
So if you're a Rocket fan, you got to be happy. You take a win the way you get it. I mean, on the road against the Grizzlies team, that was a half game behind you. This wasn't like an average team you just beat on the road. You beat the Memphis Grizzlies, who were the 3 seed, and a team that has been at the top of the standings when healthy. So it's a good win. You know, I don't want to diminish the win. So if you're a Rockets fan listening to this, I'm not trying to like belittle your team or like try to take away from the win. You won a game on the road against the 3 seed, which is phenomenal. It's a great win. But I do think that in the grand scheme of things, when I think about the powerhouses in the West, I think about, you know, the Thunder, who we just did a couple games on, the Mavericks when they're healthy. You know, these type of teams, they're a little sharper down the stretch. I trust their defense more. They're not as sloppy. But to be honest with you, Rockets are ahead of schedule. So for me saying all this stuff, who cares? Like,
Who cares?
You're ahead of schedule. You're doing
Yeah.
better than everyone thought you'd do this year. And you have a future. I think if you talk to any Rockets fan, they'll be very honest with you saying, you know, we know this year's not our year. And that's okay. And
Now to cut into that, sorry, but like, do you think? I'm gonna ask this also about the Grizzlies. Do you think the Rockets make a trade, or try to make a move to shore up?
I
like,
don't
the
know.
teams?
I don't think this year's. I think they're going to let Van Vliet's contract play out, and then they go from there. I don't think they want to make a trade to win now. I don't at all.
Okay.
If they do make a trade, it's for something to clear cap space, and you get a young player or something like that. But I don't know why they would do that. I don't think this team is. I know they're the 2 seed, and I know if you're a Rockets fan, like you want them to go for it because why wouldn't you go for it if you're the 2 seed? But I don't know. I really don't. Unless it's like a De'Aaron Fox, which I know our boy Will Bias Houston isn't like too big of a fan of. Like he doesn't want that deal. Unless it's like for a franchise changing player, I don't think the Rockets try to adjust on the margins.
No. Now what about the Grizzlies? Because they were.
I think the Grizzlies do because even though they've been hurt for a while, I think this is like, okay, we've had this core together for a few years now. We have made the playoffs. We have, advanced in the playoffs. I would like for us to make it to the Western Conference Finals. Like, I think their expectations and their goals are higher.
Okay.
So I think if you're a Grizzlies fan, you're looking to kind of shore up whatever you have to shore up. And again, they're the 3 seed right now. They could finish as a 2 seed, and then all of a sudden you have home court advantage until the Western Conference Finals. You get the right player, I say this all the time, but you think about Dallas last year, they got P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford, and all of a sudden they went to the finals.
Yep,
No one had this team going to the finals until they made the right moves, and I think it's very possible for the Grizzlies to do that. I think they played sloppy today. This is not the type of Grizzlies team that I think can win the Western Conference or go to the Western Conference Finals, but we have seen in the past that this team can be very good. So I think the Grizzlies might be making a move. I mean, they were talking about getting Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy's like, nah.
Yeah, that was.
Jimmy was like, anywhere but here. One press conference in Miami, and then the next day he's like, anywhere but here and Memphis. Don't want to go to Memphis.
And like he basically put out a list, which is crazy because it feels like he would fit in Memphis. I know the Grizzlies were.
He'd be great in Memphis. I would love Jimmy in Memphis.
He would be great. It just feels like it would be a great fit. But I know the Grizzlies were in talks with the Nets for Dorian Finney-Smith before he got traded to the Lakers, and now
they're being talks with Cam Johnson. Everybody wants Cam Johnson, baby.
Get
them picks, Bob. Get them picks. Get them picks.
Put out your best offer. You might get them. You never know. You never know. It's a possibility. But yeah, great. I mean, great game by two teams that are high in the West. It's just it just kind of got really wonky in the fourth.
Very I loved it though. I was entertained. It was fun. All right, that's going to do it. The Rockets beat the Grizzlies 119-115. We will be doing a game reaction of the Knicks Thunder tomorrow. Let's go Knicks, baby! Pow, 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 pow.
No comment.
Yeah.
No comment.
No comment. I'm not a delusional Knicks fan. For those of you who are watching, Quab's a Net fan, as you can see, has him pointing his hat. But we will be reviewing that game objectively. And we'll be doing a couple clips too. Full episode. If you want to subscribe to our podcast, you can right now, or on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We do drop full episodes as well. So do that, and we'll see you next time for another episode of The Dime. Peace.